Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the Digital Nomad Mom podcast. This show is all about the digital nomad lifestyle coupled with family topics. We'll also cover other lifestyle optimization strategies for good measure. Follow these tips and tactics to design a life with more freedom, excitement, and a greater joy. Subscribe here for interviews with digital nomad families, entrepreneurs who might still be contemplating to have their own family one day, families who are on a gap year, and many others. And welcome to Eden. Today, she's my guest, and I'm pretty excited because I know Eden since more than 4 years, I think now. And we've done, this is our second live, I think. We've met before cyberly and in person on conferences. So I can call Eden my friend, and I'm very excited that she's taking her time. And welcome to the show, Eden.
Thank you, Julia. Yeah, I think it's fun when you can be in real life friends and virtual friends too, huh?
Absolutely. And I'm absolutely jealous because Eden is sitting where I would love to sit right now. She's on Hawaii, my favorite. That's where I lost my heart, actually. So Eden, let me hand over to you and simply ask you this one question. How did you get started with your super cool lifestyle, and what is it exactly what you're doing? So tell the listeners a little bit about you.
So we house sit full time. We live in other people's houses
Right.
pretty much all the time, except for COVID time. So pre-COVID, it was all the time.
Right
and
now,
we do it all around the world.
But right now you're also house sitting, right? This is a
Yeah,
house.
we actually are on we are on a 4-month house sit right now during the middle of COVID. But we did have a few months where we weren't going anywhere. We were
So crazy.
stationary at my mom's house.
Wow. House sitting.
It's an amazing life.
And how did you get started with this? I mean, house sitting, everyone knows about it, but you decided to do this full time. You said, this is what I want to do as a business model.
So we jumped in. We were living in Nicaragua at the time, and we were living in Granada, and I was keeping an eye on Twitter of like you and other travel bloggers that were traveling to Nicaragua. And I was meeting with them. I'm like, hey, since you're coming to my town, let's have coffee. I'd love to find out more about you and show you around all the hot spots, because it was a pretty small town. So it was easy to show them the best of what Granada had to offer. And more and more of the travelers kept saying, oh, we just finished a house sit, or we're on our way to a house sit. Or it was like every 2 out of 3 people would use the word house sit in our conversation. I'm like, what is this all about? Yeah, so I started poking around, and I asked my husband, I said, hey, we were renting an apartment at the time with our dog, and we had stuff. We had about 12 suitcases worth of stuff. We had stuff. And I said, would you consider doing this? And he's like, no, I'm not going to live in other people's houses and sleep in their beds and use their kitchen. And that's just weird. I'm not going to do that. I'm like, yeah, but we could travel. Like there's some in France and Spain and Italy, and pretty much the whole world has houses anywhere there's expats. And he's like, no. So I just let him stew on it for a week. And then about a week later, he came back and he's like, so show me what these look like. Like so I started going on the websites and showing him. And he said, yeah, we could do that.
Oh, wow.
We were offered it. We actually did it locally first. We went to the other expats and let them know that we were going to house sit. We were available to house sit. And one of them reached out on the other side of the country and said, could you come for 5 weeks and bring your dog? And so we figured we'd keep our apartment and we'd try it out. That was the plan. Like, we'll just bring the dog with us, pack up some suitcases, pay our rent for the apartment, and go away for 5 weeks. And during that time, like within 10 days of that conversation happening, somebody else got a hold of us and said, hey, we're buying this house down the street from where you are. We can't move until October. Could you move into it once escrow clears and live there for us until, and we're like, what? So we were basically booked for 5 months immediately. And then within another month, we were booked for a year. We just started getting the word out.
That is so cool. Yeah, absolutely. And now you've been doing this since? This is
6 years.
Wow.
Yeah, we're in our 6 years. So we've been all around the world. We've done we didn't do Australia and New Zealand, but we've done the whole around the world trip. Yeah.
Cool. And how do you now find your house sits? Are you just using still the two platforms that I know, Trusted House Sitters, and the other one, what's it called again? The
House It Match.
Yeah.
No, we don't. We're not untrusted.
Okay.
We do use House It Match. We can't right now, obviously, because of Corona. But House It Mexico, and this is House It number 45 for us, the one that we're on now, and 40 of them have been referrals. So 5 of them have come from websites, but the rest have been referrals and personal contact.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have a little network of house sitters that we refer to. Like this Hawaii one came through a referral. It was a Canadian who was supposed to come, and she said, "Hey, we're Canadian. We obviously can't go to America right now. They're looking for an American." And I said, "We're available," and there we are.
So cool. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's about a dozen house sitting platforms.
Yeah.
Some are country specific, like there's a House Sit America in Australia, New Zealand. There's some that are very specific. There's a Mexico, House Sit Mexico. But then for about a total, there's about a dozen different platforms. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember, I mean, back in 2011 and 2012, when we were mainly traveling and not working at the same time, I used to do couch surfing and house sitting as well. And I remember it was a pain to find actually good house sits, especially when you start out, when you don't have a profile on these platforms. They always, tend to choose people who have a record of house sits. And I think in total I did 3 house sits in this entire year, and then couch surfing was a lot easier. So I kind of let go from the idea, and I thought it's not sustainable, because if you really want to do this, and it was for me also not really plannable, because I had like my itinerary and I wanted to go next there, and if there wasn't a house sit available, then I was like, oh, okay. So, but for you, since you are going where the house it is, it makes so much sense, right? You're more
right.
Yeah.
Right. So we plan our travel direction, and then we find a house that fit in that space, knowing that although when we went through, before we met in the Philippines, we were in Portugal, Morocco, and Spain, and those were all back to back to back. Like we literally spent 2 nights in a hotel in Spain, and that was it.
Okay.
So, when the world is moving in a regular circle, it's easy enough to plan your time, knowing that you may have little gaps to fill. But yeah, if you knew if you wanted to go to Bosnia, right, or Serbia, or somewhere specific, you may not be able to find a house. Although Facebook groups now, there's so many Facebook groups. See, that back then the groups weren't so big, right? But now there's like an expat group in Serbia, right, or Turkey. So you could get in there and say, "Hey, I'm a house sitter. Does anybody need me?" And you could possibly find some. We did find a couple, one in Mexico that way.
Okay. Yeah, interesting.
There are options. But...
And speaking of options, you opened up another option on Hawaii. That is
we just opened a house sitting platform, which is totally crazy. We housesithawaii.com had no intentions, like house sitting. Just never thought we would want to have a platform, but we got to Hawaii and we saw that it really is, the people that live here have to leave. I mean, you can't just like go to another state. You have to like get on a plane and leave. So generally people plan for longer trips, right? You don't go to the mainland for 2 days. You go to the mainland for 10 days or a month or 2 months, which then creates a lot more opportunities for house sitters. So we started a platform for Hawaii specifically.
Yeah, that's a good move, because I'm surprised there wasn't a platform before. I mean,
a lot of some of the sits were on Trusted, and then some were on, I think, Nomador or Mind My House. One of those had a couple, but it's been a lot of referrals. Oh, sorry, the cat, when she hears me talking, she'll be coming in. Come on, Bean. Okay. She might come right across the screen. She'll jump up on the desk, and she does this whole loop around the screen when she hears me on the call. What? Oh, here. I have to open her closet so she can go. You can come up on this is our girl that we're taking care of.
Okay. Because now that we're talking about Hawaii again, actually, I did one couch surfing in Hawaii on the Big Island,
Oh,
and
that's where we are, on the Big Island.
okay, yeah, yeah. So
It's a
funny.
lovely place. Lovely.
I know.
How much time did you spend here?
Just 3 months. It was
Oh,
yeah. We wished to stay longer, but then the visa ran out. You know, you being an American, you can be so lucky calling this your backyard, but
yeah.
for us tourists, it's just a pain to get in the United States anyway.
I
And now it
know.
has
I
become
know.
so much worse and more difficult. But yeah, uh,
Yeah.
I wish Hawaii would be more available. You know, aside from
Yeah.
the best.
She is. She's gonna walk right across the screen.
There she is.
I know she's gonna do it. She always does it right at the right time too. Okay, come over here and lay down. Yeah, please come over here and lay down. No.
So perhaps let's talk a little bit now about because about the business side, because you started obviously Hawaii.com or trusted Hawaii.
Houseathawaii.com. Yep. So this is our third just random startup business from our nomadic life, basically, that just kind of it just came to pass. So the first one, we moved to Belize. I guess that wasn't weren't really nomads at the time. We moved to Belize with renting, but planning on traveling, and we started a consulting Belize expats consulting service, basically, where we were charging for unlimited email conversations with questions and answers about moving to Belize. We provided a PDF and we charged for that. So we had a couple of clients with that, which was kind of fun. We were only there a year, so we didn't really. About the time we started really getting the momentum up to it, we decided we were leaving. So, of course, so we sold it. We sold the business. We sold the website, the domain name, and that was fun. But it just kind of came out of seeing a need for something, right? Which I think a lot of nomads can do
in any place. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Exactly. And then the second one was For Sitters by Sitters, was a website for house sitters to talk amongst house sitters. So owners weren't really allowed to buy a membership. If you were an owner and a house sitter, that's fine. But like if you were just somebody that wanted a house sitter, it wasn't your place. It was basically an old-fashioned forum. Like just basically that's what it was. And conversations for house sitters where we could talk about house sits that went bad, or red alerts like don't sit at this house sit because this is what had happened, that kind of thing. And then built that up and then sold that business also. and then House at Hawaii just kind of came to fruition, which I don't have any intention of selling. I guess I didn't with the other ones either, but
you never know.
Yeah, exactly. And you never know. I mean, it's just, if it feels like, if you see a demand for people asking for something and you can fill that demand, there's no reason why you can't charge or make a product or a service out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's how they came to pass. It's just been filling the need, really.
Yeah, cool. And if I mean, if anyone wanted to do the same and copy or not copy the business model, but start something from scratch, what's your best advice for them?
Do some research, right? Make sure that there is enough people asking the question. Like, I mean, especially if it's something that's specific to where you are, or a location that you love. You don't have to always be there. Like you could have been to, like we with Hawaii, right? So you could have been there for 3 months and created something, and you can leave Hawaii and still run the business. Obviously, we can do that as nomads. But just do enough research where you feel like it's really viable, and then it's got to come from your heart. You've got to have passion for it. I mean, because it's a lot of work. Any business is work.
Yeah.
So you've got to have the passion and the burn for it. And if you do, go for it. I mean, if you're not going to invest much, I mean, a domain name is $10, and hosting you probably already have because you have some kind of website. I mean, you're probably going to spend $100 total, right? So if you just jump in, give it a try. What do you have to lose?
Just a few hours of work.
Exactly. I mean, but it could turn out to be something that really catches on, and don't give up. I mean, if one person comes back and says to you, that's not going to work. I don't know why would somebody said, why would somebody pay for that? well, you're not my customer, obviously, because there are people out there that will pay for it. So
Yeah.
don't get discouraged from people that aren't your ideal customer.
Yeah, I heard the other day that when you have a good idea about a business idea, then don't share it until you're one step in to creating the business, because you might hear only objectives and negative voices from people. Maybe even they think they do you a favor in protecting you, but since they don't have the idea like you in their head, they don't have the vision. So
Right.
hold it back until you really even have created the business. Sometimes that's a smart way to do it.
Yeah, I completely agree, because one, there's a whole half of the world doesn't even understand how we live,
Yeah.
right? So that's one obstacle you're trying to get them to, like, people are like with us with House of White, oh, you're going to stay there and live there? No, I don't need to live here to do this, but they don't understand it. So there's already negative feedback. And then the other ones that they don't, like I said, they're not your ideal customer, and I wholeheartedly agree with what you said. You definitely want to be 2 feet in the door before you really share it. And then take everybody's words with a grain of salt. I mean, just don't put so much value into it, because you just don't always get it.
That's true. Very cool. So, what is going to happen? Let's talk about the future of house sitting. I mean, you obviously also can't look into the crystal ball. What's going to happen with Corona? But let's pretend 2021 is going to be back to
There she goes.
normal.
Actually, I foresee that I'm seeing a lot more long-term house sits. As the world's opening up, people are planning on traveling. Basically, the globe is going to be on sale because everybody's tourism hurt so badly. And some of these countries, 25-30% of their GDP is based on tourism.
Yeah.
So when they've been closed down for 4, 5, 6 months now, they're going to be on sale. I mean, so people that are needing house sitters are going to be traveling longer, and maybe even further to more exotic destinations, right? Like, I mean, even Asia, right? Asia was already cheap, but can you imagine what kind of sales and discounts are going to be available now?
Yeah.
As things, when they eventually, I'm guessing early next year, start opening up. And then even currently, people are starting to get a little bit more comfortable. So even like in the US, people are starting to put up house sits that are longer term, because they're not just going to drive to grandma's, they're going to make a whole trip out of it, right? They're going to make a big extended party out of it. We're talking to some friends that are in Turkey. They were actually in Africa when things shut down. They stayed there for a few months and they headed back to Turkey, and he had just recently posted that he's got a whole handful of house sits available.
Wow.
And people even in the EU, right, are just want to get out, so they're traveling. So if you're going they live in Italy, let's say, and they're going to go over to Portugal, they're not just going for a week or 2 weeks, they're going to make a whole 5-week, 6-week, 10-week trip out of it. So,
yeah.
And then this nomad thing, people working online, right? My perception is we're in the next 5 years, we're going to see a huge shift in the demand for house sitting, and more house sitters coming on board also, because that's what I also started in the business. I started a house sitting course. That was another business, and I still have that one running. But I just think there's going to be a big demand for it, because people have been working on their computers, and they're going to be like realizing, like, wait, I don't need to be paying $300,000 a month for this apartment when I can be doing this in Thailand, or I can do this in Mexico, or I can do this anywhere.
Yeah.
Or just travel.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's I totally agree. I think you're right with that. And we're seeing so much more people shifting towards remote work if they can, or starting their own online businesses out of need. I mean, yeah, people have to become creative in order to survive that crisis, or the aftermath of it.
Yeah.
So
people making classes on how to do Zoom better.
Yeah.
Or, how to use lighting. And I mean, there's just, and now they would have never done that. If you would have talked to those people a year ago, they would have been like, I don't know how to make an online course. I'm like, look, I'm sitting in a meeting with 9 people that are idiots and don't understand. how to have their background right or whatever. And so she says, here, for $50, here's a course and I'll teach you how to do this better. And it's
Yeah, absolutely.
amazing.
So, and what about you after Hawaii? What is your next step? Do you have already something
We're
set?
going to head to Mexico.
Okay.
This house that had the house that we're on had like a 2.5 month plan, but then she was like, can you be flexible? And we had no plans. So now we're going into month 4. It got extended twice now. So month 4 puts us right into winter, and winter, we like to be warm.
Yeah.
Thank you. Stay warm. We can't get to Asia.
Yeah.
So we're gonna head to Mexico. We've actually rented for a month down in Zihuatanejo in Mexico. And then I think we'll probably spend until March or so. But by January, house sits are coming up in Mexico. They're just not ones that we want. But I think January, we're already getting messages from some people we know down there about house sitting down there in January, February. So we'll probably stay down there till March. We'd like to head to Vietnam. That was where we wanted to spend this winter. That was our plan. We were supposed to be in Egypt for 5 months, and we want to get to Vietnam. So maybe by spring or summer we'll get down there, and
Yeah.
maybe back in Egypt again for another house sit.
Okay, cool. Sounds cool. Eden, so inspiring and interesting. I think many people who are just right now sitting there wondering what can we do can get a lot of ideas out from what you just told us. Thank you so much for sharing.
You know what? I want to wait. People do house sit with kids.
Yeah.
And I think you know that, but I just want to clarify that for the audience that yes, families do go house sitting. House sits, you just have to be clear in your profile that you have children, and then when you're talking to the owner and applying, you need to be crystal clear their ages and what they're. But if you have some references and things, that it's not just for single people or married couples. I mean, absolutely, families house sit.
That's a good point. Okay, cool. If people want to reach you, where is best to find you?
Reallytrulyliving.com is our website. And the house sit Hawaii and the house sitting course are both referenced on the main page there. That's probably the best place. Or on Facebook. Anybody can find me, Eden Rudin, on Facebook easily. Okay. And I'm in your group, obviously. I'm in your group too. So I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has, or they,
I will put the links in the description so you can find Eden and reach out to her. And thanks again. It was really wonderful seeing and chatting with you. And I hope people reach out to you if they have any questions. And
thank you, Julia. So I guess I'll see you on the road probably in 2021, maybe in Asia.
Somewhere. we bump into each other again somewhere. I'm pretty sure.
Every couple of years.
Okay.
All right, take care. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it was lovely. Thanks for taking your time, and thanks for listening, everyone. And like I said, I will put the links to the description, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. And we'll be back with another episode shortly, and we'll let you know. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.